what Fannie Mae has uncovered is the lack of reported sellers' concessions in appraisals. The values are artificially being propped up. The main beneficiary here is definitely the builder because they get to continue to keep the party going. And the reality is half these houses, 58% of these houses should be valued at $50,000, $60,000 less. What does that do to the market?
What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and I've got my buddy Travis from Real Estate Mindset is back with us today to talk about another instance of widespread mortgage fraud. It is everywhere in this market today. Travis, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. Happy Sunday. It's an absolute pleasure to work with you again, man. I've missed you since I've gotten back from Maryland. Is that how you pronounce it?
Maryland. It is not Maryland. Yes. You got to put the emphasis on the correct syllable when you're in Maryland. Yes.
Yes. I know you guys beat me up on that one. Pretty good.
That's all right. I'm sure when people from the Northeast go down to Texas, they butcher their pronunciation of literally everything anyway. So
yeah, the difference is I don't make them feel ashamed in themselves like you guys did. So ball busting is a part of the culture up here in the Northeast. The more we rag on you, the more we like you. If we're being nice to you, it means we probably don't like you up here. That's what friends are for. I mean, or else you wouldn't say anything. So, appreciate you guys educating me.
Anytime. So what do you got for us today? You found something interesting with the mortgages associated with new builders and seller concessions. And that's something we've talked about a lot on some of our collaborations before. You've talked about how these massive seller concessions are ways that the builders are keeping the prices fake and high while really lowering them without lowering them. But if you don't report that, it can become a problem, right?
Well, I mean, it can become fraud. If you're selling the loan to Fannie Mae as a qualified mortgage and you're not following the guidelines and regulations of those mortgages, then yeah, it can be fraud if you sold it to them. So, but what I want to do, Jack, is I want to make it really clear that I'm not playing an attorney. I'm not accusing anyone specifically. All I want to do to your viewers is just present them with information that I have found and I have been investigating. And my hope is that, we uncover enough of what's going on behind the scenes when it specifically pertains to new home builders, that it gives the existing homeowners enough power to, potentially sue them. I mean, there's arbitration agreements that are locking these home buyers into houses that they don't want, poorly built houses. So I'm hoping that by us uncovering a potential violation, potential fraud, that this will help empower some of these people that have been left with homes that are, quite frankly, falling apart.
Yeah. And folks, if you are in a new home and you are having any kind of quality issue associated with the builder's work, stick around until the end of this, because there are some things that we found in here that could potentially help a lot of people out who maybe otherwise think they have no recourse. Well, there's something Travis found here that if your attorney is good enough, you present him with this information, it might give you an out. It might give you a chance to make things right. So take it away, brother. What do you got for us?
Okay. Well, first, before I give my presentation, let me explain what's going on here. Now, first of all, if you're a mortgage lender, you're going to sell your loans to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are the big lenders, and you're going to sell it under qualified mortgages, then you have to follow a certain guideline as someone involved in the transaction. Now, one of the specific worries right now, and what Fannie Mae has uncovered, is the lack of reported sellers' concessions in appraisals. And what a seller concession is, Jack, and I got this a little bit wrong, is basically something of value given to the buyer to purchase the house. Now, when I was on your channel last, I made the error in saying that only the seller, right? A seller has to report the concessions. But the reality is what I found out and what Fannie Mae has just reported is really anyone associated with the transaction must report the seller's concessions. Those concessions must be adjusted in the appraisal. So where I wanted to start is, again, I want to explain to people those are required to be reported. And if I can share my screen, I want to start by showing your viewers the December letter that came out from Freddie Mac. Now, I've specifically, Jack, and I zoomed in here, I've highlighted a couple things. We don't have to read the whole thing. Let me show your viewers, again, this is an appraisal update from Fannie Mae. This is December 2023. So this is something that they're aware of. And unfortunately, it's not helping the people right now, but here's what I want to go over. Okay. So when it comes to seller concessions, basically they're defining value. They're putting it into two parts. Okay. And the one I highlighted right here is it was a slap in the face to me because, again, I was assuming the seller was the only one. But this is what it says. The price represents the normal consideration for the property sold. Okay, that makes sense. Unaffected by special or creative financing or sales concessions granted, and here's the key, by anyone associated with the sale. So not just the seller. If there's a mortgage company that is going to buy your rate down, give you a 3-2-1 buy down, that has to be reported. Now, this further, and here's the troubling thing. Okay, this goes on, and this is the last thing I want to read, and I want to show you what's going on behind the scenes. Now, within the appraisal population, appraisers reported seller concessions for 7.6 million comparables. Of great concern for 58% of those comparables, and a comparable is a house that has sold. That's all a comp comparable, a house that's sold. So of 58% of those 7.6 million comparables, 58% of those comparables, the appraisers made no adjustments for concessions. Okay, of course, that tends to inflate the appraisal results and undermines the credibility of the appraiser. But I'm saying what also undermines the credibility and the fact that the price isn't really the price. So again, they've reported 7.6 million comparables that had sellers concessions, but over half of them, they did not report those concessions as required because we just read right here the requirement. Sales concessions granted by anyone associated with the sale.
Wow.
And so moving,
can I pause you for a second? Because this is big. And I know you looped that a few times, but I really want to drive that home. This is not a small problem here, guys. 7.6 million comps that were out there. The appraisals were reviewed by Fannie and Freddie, and they found more than half of them, 58%, are not reporting these seller concessions. Out of 7.6 million, this is somewhere around 4.4 million instances where they're required to report these concessions. And Travis has gotten into these in the past. These are not like a free blender when you buy a house. These are massive concessions, buying down interest rates by 3 whole percentage points. You're talking several $100, maybe $1,000 a month in lower mortgage payments resulting from these concessions. And more than half of these are not getting reported. This is, I mean, is it too strong a language to say systemic fraud? Is that too strong to use those words here?
You know, again, man, I don't want to accuse anyone directly, but I don't know how else to look for it. I mean, they know that this was a requirement. They knew that. And I mean, I think it's fraud myself. Again, I'm not a judge. I'm not an attorney. But, you know, let me show you what's going on. All right. So if I were to move on, and this is just an example, I'm not accusing Lennar of anything. I want to make that clear. I'm just showing you what Lennar is offering right now in my local housing market. Okay.
Sure.
So right now you can see Lennar is offering a locked-in fixed rate of 4.25%. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the rates right now, Jack, are in the sevens, about 7.1%. That means that according to this and according to the most recent data that I have reviewed, that's 300 basis points below the market rate. This doesn't cost hundreds of dollars. This costs, depending on the loan amount, tens of thousands of dollars. To buy your rate down 3%, people can't afford to do that. Again, because it's a percentage of the loan amount. So if the loan amount is $400,000 and it costs 7 points to buy that down, obviously that's a ton of money. That's $28,000. So again, I just wanted to first let's show the viewers. Okay, this is going on right now. They're offering a 4.25. Everyone knows rates are about 7% right now. Okay. Now, initially, I thought they were getting away with this, Jack, because they were using a builder's lender. And I assumed at the time that if they're not the seller, that's why they're getting away with this. But the thing here is even, and again, I'm just using Lennar as an example. This is an affiliated business disclosure statement. This is basically, and again, I'm just using this as an example. This is saying that Lennar owns directly 100% of Lennar Mortgage. So my point is showing the viewers this is even if only the seller was required to report concessions, Lennar owns 100% of Lennar Mortgage. Now, this is a pattern. Okay, so Pulte, D.R. Horton, right? A lot of them own their own mortgage company. I'm just showing you that Lennar owns 100% of Lennar Mortgage. Okay, again, not accusing them. Now, here's the thing. This is an appraisal, and I'm going to show you a couple of appraisals so your viewers understand exactly what we're talking about. Now, basically, every comp is 2 columns. So this is 1 comp, this is 2 comps, this is 3 comps. So you got 2 columns per comp. Now, you see this first column here, it says this stands for arm's length. So arm's length transaction, and it says FHA $3,000. This basically means that they got a $3,000 seller concession. Okay. Now, you see this red arrow right here?
Yeah.
This is the appraiser not making the deduction for that $3,000 contribution. So normally what would happen here is in this column, they would report negative $3,000 because that would be removed from the value. But as you can see here with this example, they reported it, but they did not remove it. And if you go to the next comp, to the right here, now obviously this is from 2017, it's just an example. This is a VA loan. They got a $4,500 concession. Okay, you see that $4,500 right there. Yeah. But again, look at the red arrow. It's pointing to no adjustments were made. So no adjustments were made. And if you go down this column, you can see where adjustments are made, right? So you got plus, you got negative, you got plus. But again, when it comes to sellers' concessions, they have not been reporting this. And this has been going on for a long time. Let me give you another example. So here's your subject property. This is an appraisal. Here's your comparable 1. You can see here. Here's your comparable number 2. And you can see that only comparable, like this is how it's supposed to look, right? So comparable number 2 shows an FHA loan with a $15,000 credit towards closing costs. So you see that adjustment shows negative $15,000.
See it? Yeah.
That's how, just to show your viewers, that's how it's supposed to be reported. Now, I do want to make clear, different circumstances require different adjustments. Obviously, not everything is uniform. I'm simply explaining to the viewers where the concessions are supposed to go and then how it works. All right, now here's an example of another appraisal. Now, this one's from 2011, so this is a little bit older. This is the only thing I had in my fingertips. I'm in the process of getting appraisals from recent homeowners, and I have some phone calls into underwriters to confirm some stuff. But what I wanted to show is the subject property is right here. And you can see that in the subject property, because someone was arguing with me like, oh, you don't report it. You don't report seller's concessions on a subject property. But you see right here under the description, subject property, seller's concessions, it says $10,000. So they are supposed to be reporting this on the appraisal. And the thing is, Jack, they're not doing it. They are not reporting this. Now, you would probably want to know, where does the appraisal get that information? The appraisal is supposed to review the purchase contract. And if they review the purchase contract should have in there seller's concessions. But not only that, okay, but that's just one issue. Okay, this column right here, you see, that's one issue. Okay, that's a subject property. But again, the other issue is this. The comparables, if they're doing an appraisal on a new home, generally the new home is going to be in a brand new home community. Okay. And the comps that they use are going to be new home comps. So most likely those comps got seller's concessions. So not only are they not reporting seller's concessions on the subject property, they're also not reporting it on the comps, because remember, the comps are new builds because it's a new build. And if they're giving that 4.25 hypothetically to all the new home builders, I mean, they got to be reporting this, is my point. And the same thing is happening that you're seeing here. Sometimes they'll report it, but they won't make adjustments for values, which we know from reading here.
Now, can I pause you for a second, Travis? Who benefits and how from neglecting to mention these concessions on the appraisal? Could you kind of like just lay out why are they incentivized to do this?
So the people that are benefiting from this the most, Jack, and again, this is just my opinion, okay? It's the new home builders. Because they get to maintain elevated prices. They get to maintain that the community is okay. Aren't their stocks all-time high right now? If I'm not mistaken, don't they have all-time highs in their stocks? So I would say that the main beneficiary here is definitely the builder, because they get to continue to keep the party going. They continue to play the music until something is done about and this is just one loophole. Okay, there's many loopholes when it comes to purchasing new homes. There's a lack of consumer protection. But the thing is, Jack, the values are artificially being propped up. If you're not reporting what you are required to report because it manipulates value, we just read that, it manipulates value, then in my eyes, and you know that it's happening, in my eyes, that might be considered fraud. And another issue.
We've seen maybe not this exact thing before, but I'm getting, flashbacks here of the scene in The Big Short with the mortgage brokers. And, they're talking about how, oh, yeah, we just leave it blank when they get to a buyer who's got no job, no assets, no savings, and he's getting an interest-only mortgage. And he says, yeah, we just leave it blank. And so the data that's being reported is not all-encompassing. It doesn't paint the accurate picture of the risk. And so people are making decisions based on this not reported data or incomplete, inaccurate data, and it skews the whole market. And you get these risks and these misallocations start to pile up. And the new builders are doing this, not just every now and then. Again, I got to come back. 58% of the time, the builders are doing this. And it's artificially inflating the values of their prices. Surely that will never cause any problems down the road, right?
Well, I mean, appraisal fraud is a felony. So I would think it, I think I think new home builders are going to be, and I did a video with Melody. I think they're going to be summoned to Congress by 2026, because not only do we have that issue, if I can, let me show you, real quick, a couple other issues. And my hope, Jack, I'll be up front here in doing all of this. People right now are trapped, like recent homeowners especially, are trapped in new homes that have something called an arbitration agreement that really shackles them and prevents them from their legal rights to sue the builder if there's construction defects. So my hope is that anyone that's watching this, potentially, if they have any, they want to sue or whatever, that they bring this to light potentially to an attorney, and that helps the attorney pierce the arbitration agreement. Because the issue is most attorneys do not want to pick up cases that involve new home builders because they struggle to pierce that arbitration agreement that they're required to sign. And generally that's in their special warranty deed. So we need something to change. I'm hoping that this is one thing. I mean, if we find that, a high percentage of these new home builders are committing, whether it's intentional or intentional, in a violation or mortgage fraud, that to me might, be a premise to void the arbitration agreement. I'm not an attorney. I'm not acting like it. But the arbitration agreement, man, is a huge, huge problem. And if I could show your viewers real quick. Now, I just wanted to read this to your viewers real quick, just to explain the lack of transparency and data reporting for new homes, because the arbitration agreement is just one issue. The seller's concessions is just one issue. But the fact that they're not giving us all the data is another huge issue. This is from the Census Bureau. I've had realtors say, oh, everything's reported on the Census Bureau, blah, 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 you're wrong. And I'm just like, you guys didn't even read the notes. It says here, okay, regarding the information from the Census Bureau that is collected from new home builders, there are non-sampling errors. The total quantity response rate for these estimates is 77.9. 77.9. They're not even reporting all the data. We have no idea, Jack, the real values of these new homes. We have no idea the actual inventory because there's no requirement to accurately report it. If they're in a bad mood, they just say, we're not going to do the survey. I mean, they're basing data for new homes on census because they are not required, at least in Texas, to use MLS for the details of the transaction. Now, I wanted to read real quick, Jack, a cautionary tale. Now, again, this is from Lennar. I'm not accusing Lennar of anything. I'm just reading this, okay? So, and I'll read it word for word just so I don't get in trouble. Basically, Lennar built a home and sold it to an original buyer in 2014. Lennar conveyed the house in a special warranty deed and a single family warranty deed, both of which contained a mandatory arbitration provision. And that's what I'm saying has been a problem for so many people that I've been reading online, at least. The following year, the buyer sold the home to another person. 2 years later, that new owner sued Lennar for construction defects allegedly caused by the home's air conditioning, HVAC system. But Lennar filed an application to say the lawsuit pending arbitration, which the court granted. The arbitrator's award dismissed Whitney's claims and awarded Lennar attorney's fees. Now, Lennar moved to confirm the award, but Whitley responded with a motion to vacate the award on the basis that she was not a party to the arbitration agreement. Now, let me summarize this real quick. So the arbitrator awarded Lennar attorney's fees through the arbitration. And so this got to the Supreme Court of Texas. And basically the plaintiff was just like, you guys, I didn't agree to that. Right. And so the Supreme Court of Texas ruled that, hey, you can't do that to the new buyer. That's like an easement. That doesn't run with the land. So my point is, these arbitration agreements, Jack, they're incredibly toxic and incredibly difficult for people to pierce. And if I can show you one more example.
If I could real quick, it seems like the arbiter in this case, the arbiter just threw out this woman's complaint and not only dismissed her claims on a problem with her house, made her pay the attorney fees for Lennar. So it seems like these arbiters maybe are a little bit leaning towards Lennar, leaning towards the home builders because, well, they're their best clients, aren't they? They get a lot of business. And, well, if they routinely rule against a certain party, maybe they get fewer business. So we're into this conflict of interest almost here. And arbiters are supposed to be neutral, but it's not really happening. And this woman challenged being locked into this arbitration agreement. And the court took one look at this and said, heck no, she doesn't have to pay Lennar's attorney fees. So, you know, getting out of this arbitration clause could be very beneficial to a homeowner in this woman's circumstance.
Well, she had to go to the Supreme Court. Wow. So the main court, I mean, it was arbitration. So the Supreme Court struck it down and said, no, you can't do this. So arbitration failed.
Right.
But the Supreme Court ruled on it. And again, it's just like, but how many people have that type of tenacity? How many people have that type of knowledge? How many attorneys are going to want to see that through? Attorneys don't want to pick up cases like this because of the arbitration agreement. And another thing, and I can't prove this, I've heard testimony and I've read comments where the arbitrators do know the builders. They do have relationship. I've heard stories of them playing golf together. And if you're a consumer, you want to go and you want to get some type of legal relief and the arbitrator is friends with the builder, they play golf together. Does that really work, Jack? Is that bias?
It's a clear conflict of interest. And, you know, these cases can be intimidating enough, taking on a big corporation with high-powered attorneys. And, you know, court cases, legal fights, they cost so much money. And a lot of times these companies just bank on that frustration and that fear of lawyers to get people to just accept an arbitration agreement like this that is biased and rigged against the homeowner's favor.
Yeah, and Jack, not only it's killing the homeowners, but it's also killing the U.S. housing market. I mean, if these are the practices they're doing around the nation, then the new home prices, although they're down 16% from peak, 3% year over year, it's still propping up the housing market. Yep. You know, so it's not only just, the low inventory for existing, low affordable inventory for existing, it's the sales for the new homes. And I mean, think about that. Think about how artificially high and how artificially propped up these houses really are. I mean, that affects someone's property taxes. That affects someone's homeowner's insurance. And if we find out and if we can prove that they were violating the law the whole time, they were out of compliance the whole time, and the reality is half these houses, 58% of these houses should be valued at $50,000, $60,000 less. What does that do to the market? What does that do to the industry?
And what does that do to the millennials and to the Gen Zers who can't afford housing right now? Well, these prices are being artificially propped up, which means these younger generations are being artificially excluded from the housing market under fraudulent circumstances. This is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Now,
go ahead. Yeah.
So you found an out here, right? So we've got this reporting issue going on with the appraisals, and then you've got homeowners with problems with houses that were rushed under construction by substandard builders. But how do these two stories come together? This is where we're wading a little bit into the legal realm here. So obviously not legal advice, but something for somebody like this woman in this legal case to consider. If she's trapped in these rigged arbitration cases, what do you think they could do with this information?
I think that if it was me, I'll tell you what I would do, because I don't want to give anyone legal advice, is I would take it to my attorney. I would say, you know what, we may have something here. Here's a copy of my appraisal. This builder gave me a rate buy down for 4.25. Here's the appraisal. It shows no seller's concessions taken out. Therefore, my value of my house was artificially inflated, is a violation of law and regulation in Fannie Mae, and therefore that arbitration agreement is void. So, and then once that's void, then what do you want to sue them about? You want to sue them for quality of construction. You want to sue them for elevating your property value, for you paying too much property taxes, for you paying too much homeowners insurance. The question is what do you want to do? But you can't put the cart before the horse. You have to pierce, and again, this is my assumption, I'm not an attorney. You have to pierce that arbitration agreement. Attorneys don't even want to touch it. So I would be, boom, is this like the Willy Wonka golden ticket here? I don't know. But it's certainly in my eyes, if Fannie Mae is shooting a warning across the bow saying that, you know, millions and millions of comps are not being reported accurately, to me, that's a trend.
Yeah. And if you're this woman in this circumstance, you just want your air conditioning fixed, right? You just want the builder to make right on the home that they built, stand by their work, which is a reasonable expectation. I don't know the finer points of this case, but you know, I've seen substandard work before. It's unfortunately is too common. And if I'm a builder, I sure as heck do not want to be in a courtroom or in an arbitration. I don't want to be defending whether or not I committed mortgage fraud by withholding information in an appraisal when all I really need to do here is fix the air conditioning. So do you guys really want to hash this out in court? You guys, at least a large percentage of you, 58% of these appraisals are not including these massive seller concessions, fraudulently so. If you're one of these homeowners locked into this scenario, think about what that does, how that instantly turns the tables on the builder who is now worried about something far worse than having to fix your air conditioning or fix that leaky roof. Now he's worried about potential criminal cases, right? I mean, these could potentially result in criminal actions, couldn't they?
It's a felony, man. I mean, it like heavy criminal implications. I mean, we saw they were supposed to protect us through the GFC, through Dodd-Frank and Wall Street Consumer Protection Act. But if people are not following the laws and regulation, then there is no protection. But the thing is if there's no enforcement, then they're just going to keep doing it. So it's a really bad situation, Jack. And I really, hope that it helps some people. And what I have done as someone that's investigating the situation is I've reached out to multiple new homeowners and I've asked them to send me their appraisals, because it will take me a matter of seconds to see whether or not a concession is taken out, being that I've been also a loan officer for 20 years and I've reviewed 1,000 appraisals. So I would encourage anyone that has recently purchased a new home, email me a copy of your appraisal if you got seller's concessions. And if you want to see whether or not seller's concessions was taken out of your home, generally, you go to page 2 of the appraisal, 7 rows down is the seller concession rows. And you can see on that row whether or not those were reported. So I'm trying to get more and more data. I also have calls into underwriters to confirm how it's supposed to be reported as it pertains to Fannie Mae. So I'm doing a lot more research on this, but I definitely need help. Right. I want more information. I want actual recent appraisals. Like I want an appraisal that's 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old. Right. I want something I want stuff that's going on right now. So I'm in the process of doing that. Hopefully I'll have more information to report back to you later on.
So let's throw that call to action out there, folks. If you have a recent appraisal on a new home, Travis has taken up this story. He's doing this research. Fantastic research, by the way, Travis. I think you have found something pretty big here. Redact your personal information. You don't need to put out your name, phone number, address, and that stuff. You can, go in Microsoft Paint or something, just block out your personal information. But you could be helping a lot of people out here if it turns out this really is as widespread. And I know there are horror stories out there of builders doing substandard work, taking advantage of the bubble, and homeowners are suffering. And good God, this woman being told that insult to injury. Now you got to pay their attorney fees because of this arbiter who plays golf with the guy on the side. And so thank you for taking up this case. And guys, send that information to Travis if you have it. Again, protect your own personal identifiable information first. Don't put your social security number out there or anything. But Travis, how could they get that information to you? How can they find you besides your YouTube channel, which they should already be subscribed to?
I mean, on my YouTube, I keep my contact information in my description. Because as you know on YouTube, man, I mean, what's with all the scams and bots that have our picture on there and like, oh, send me $5 and I'll send you nudes of like, whoa, like, first of all, who would pay $5 for that? But
that took a left turn real quick.
Hey, I did went there. I'm sorry. But my point is,
at $5, by the way, Travis.
Hey, man, I'm 40, man. I'll take all the compliments I can get. But listen, man, all they got to do is go to my YouTube channel, go under the description on any one of my videos, or, the description on my channel, and my contact email will be there. And again, I just want to make clear, though, Jack, I'm not accusing Lennar of anything. I'm not accusing any home builder of anything. I'm not saying I'm an attorney. I'm not giving anyone advice. But I do want to investigate this more and report back the facts and what I find out for sure.
Right. Lennar was just a hypothetical example, and you used that case with Lennar to show how the arbitration agreement can bind people and really interfere with their legal recourse. And we're not picking on any one company here. That being said, some of the numbers that you threw out there, 58% of appraisals neglecting to include some very generous seller's concessions, that's widespread fraud. I mean, we've been here before. We've seen this before, guys.
But to be clear, it's not 58% of appraisals. Appraisals generally have 3 comps. So you may have 2-3 comps for one appraisal that is out of compliance.
Okay.
So you see the differential there. So so divide that by 3 for your worst case number right there.
Okay. So it's the comps, 58% of comps, not necessarily millions of appraisals, but I think we're still in the millions, even if you divide those numbers.
Oh, yeah.
By 3. Yeah.
And then the same comp you may be used for multiple appraisals. So you know what I mean? So it actually may be even more. You may multiply that depending on if those comps are used on numerous appraisals, which they probably are, Jack. I mean, most of these new homes are track housing, and they're like there's 5 different houses out of 1,000. So generally, it's all going to be contained, and the fact that this is all kind of contained to subdivision really should make it pretty easy for enforcement to investigate this, because it's all there, right? I mean, it's all in that subdivision. It's not hard. I mean, pick a subdivision that is a new home subdivision, especially in Texas, and start digging. And you will find things that make you scratch your head and wonder.
Well, Travis, this is excellent work. I think you found something really important here. Widespread blanks being left in mortgage contracts or appraisals. It's not exactly the same thing that happened in the GFC, but man, it sure rhymes with it. And we're seeing this in so many other facets of the real estate market. And thank you for staying on top of this. Guys, this is Travis from Real Estate Mindset. Once again, I'm going to put a link to his channel down below. You should totally be following that. He's one of the best out there when it comes to real estate on YouTube. Regular live streams, deep dives in specific local markets. He's the best out there. So Travis, thank you for doing that. And before we wrap it up, I will give you the last word, brother.
I would say my last word is, Jack, is just, for consumers to continue to empower themselves with the knowledge on how real estate works. In other words, don't let other people do the thinking for you. You can trust me, you can trust Jack, but verify. We're in a situation right now, Jack, where the narratives are all over the place. You can literally pick and choose what narrative you want to preach about because the data is so conflicting. So I would just really encourage the viewers, if they're frustrated, if they're bitter, if they don't know what's going on, just chill, just calm down and take it slow. But don't buy real estate using your emotion. For the love of all that's holy, please stop doing that. That's what I would say, Jeff.
Trust but verify. Great feedback. I mean, these are things I remember when I was working in nuclear power, very often repeated phrases around a nuclear plant. Trust but verify was one, and take the emotion out of it was another. I mean, you just inadvertently stepped on 2 nuclearisms right there, and they're both precursors to human mistakes, to human errors. If you just trust somebody, but you don't actually go verify the data for yourself, and you're not insulting a person, this is a home purchase, a huge deal. You should be verifying that information. Absolutely. And definitely take the emotion out of it. Buying a home, obviously an emotional experience, but you need to step back from that. Don't let that emotion make you sign when you're not 100% convinced. And then you end up in some kind of situation where you have buyer's remorse, which again, we've seen that before also with the GFC. Thank you so much, Travis, for spending the time. Excellent research, sir. As always, check out Travis's channel, everybody. And until next time, live small and dream big.